And now we will start the next presentations. Practitioner session 3, best practices for artificial intelligence ecosystem. Professor Michael Posler will chairing the session. Is Professor Michael here? Sorry. Professor Michael? Professor Mike? Professor Mike is in.
Wait a minute.
Professor
Hello?
Mike? Yes, hi, Professor Mike.
Okay, wait, do I?
Sharing the sessions with you.
Yes, I am. Okay. Do I have my, oh, no, let me start my video. Okay. All right, are we ready for the next session? Let's start. Let's see, the first paper is by Nawaf. Is Nawaf here? Nawaf?
No, it's here.
He's here?
Yes.
Okay.
Nawaf?
Yes, here we are.
Okay, here he comes.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. Here I am, Nabil Al-Nassaf. I am Executive Director. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Nawaf Al-Shaya. I will start my presentation by sharing my presentation. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. Hanadi Mubaraki, and for all the sponsors, for all working in charge, for the attendees and listeners. Today, we are going to talk about our company, Gulf NanoGuard Company, and its role as leading in protecting the environment in several axes, and its role in training the technicians and the workers to master work in this specialty of technologies, because we are talking about the nanotechnologies. We took our part objectively from our responsibility with nanotechnology to offer permanent solutions in different sections. Here, first of all, we are looking about the pollution in the air in the city, and we see how it's smoggy. And to characterize this, we have to see what is the reason. And second, we have to analyze the effects. And third, searching for the solutions. About these reasons, we know there is direct and indirect matters. For example, for the direct factors from man inventions, we know from the factories, from the exhaust of the fuel of the cars, and for the generators for different matters. And on the second phase, from the natural sources, as from the forest fire, from the volcanic eruption, and from the dust storm. Now we have decided and see on this matter these two direct and indirect reasons. Now let's calculate and see what are the percentage of these pollutants. The percentage of these pollutants resulting from transportation of the total pollutants in the country amounted about 65% of black carbon, 63% of lead, 52% of copper, 45% of carbon monoxide, 27% of vanadium, 14% of potassium, and 10% of sulfur, stressing that they are directly related to the increase in mortality and disease rates, especially since car emissions contain carcinogenic gases. And this is the effect, as we said, from the direct or indirect. Now, we are looking for the solutions, and here's the numbers that we have said. First of all, the companies are working about that on the exhaust of the cars and how they can reduce the emissions. So international companies have developed the performance of their engines and reduced emissions and pollutants, but they are still insufficient and still differ from one country to another. And this is very important to decide why this problem is not solved completely, because the quality of fuel is different from one country to another. Also, something else about the age of the cars, if it's old or it's still new. We have worked to find this matter and to calculate when we fix this invention, which is going to give us the solution. And this research has been made in different countries. For example, here we have fixed on Toyota Corolla in the United Arab Emirates, also in Buenos Aires in Argentina, in United States of America, also in Moscow in Russia. For example, in the exhaust before installation of the enhance and after the installation of the enhancer. Let's first look about the CO1 or CO in percentage. It was 3.10 and became 0.18. CO2 13.30, it became 12.20. Hydrocarbon from 171, which is measured by the ppm part per million, to 78. O2, he will find it's get higher from 7.0 to 9.70. So here is we focus on the problem and how we can do it. Here is a video how we fix this on a car and what is the result we will find. It's very easy to be fixed on the hose of the fuel before it's coming to the engine, and it will start to organize the fuel. Also, it will get rid of the pollutants. So this will give the engine full combustion. It's very easy to be fixed, and it will ever last for 10 years without any maintenance for any need. Let's move to another, and here is about what are the qualities of this device. This is just for the first example. We found that it reduced the emissions of the engine, promote the oxygen in the engine, so it became full combustion. Third, it reduced the consumption of the fuel, so it became walk longer for the in distance. And here is a video about our device. As we can see, it's very easy to be fixed on the hose before the fuel reorganize all the fuel, increase the efficiency of the engine, also reducing the emissions. Let's move to another matter. First of all, we talk about the pollutants of the air from the exhaust of the cars. Now let's move to the water. Now we are talking about the nanofilter solution for water. We talk about the water and its natural or industrial pollutants, because as we said, in the air, we have two factors about the pollutants, from the chemical, which is from the industry, or from the environment by itself, or from the nature. And finding the best solutions for the individual and for the environment. We are talking about the nanotechnology in water treatment on various domestic, industrial, and commercial sources, and the best technologies in treating it from pollutants and impurities. Here we are using two ways about solving this matter. We are talking about the nanotechnology, about using the silver, and second, we are using the magnetic. Also, we can use it, these kind of filters, in different places. There are a variety of devices commensurate with the type of use required, such as drinking water for humans and drinking water for animals' pens and for the fish ponds, as well as integrated system in recycling water from sewage or from factories, water, and even for the seawater. So for any kind of sources, we can solve this matter. Here is just an explanation about the device and how it works. One of the most important things that it's self-cleaning without electricity. So as we can see, we can use it in multiple places. So there is no need to spend money for the maintenance and for the exchanging of the cartridges. Now, the second matter of this water, solving the water problems with the magnetic. Now let's see how the magnetic solve it also. Here is the measurement of the magnetic, which is about between 16,000 to 20,000 Gauss. Now, let's move for the last thing, which is the third phase, which is about the air pollution and how we can solve about this matter. We now move to nanotechnology insulations materials that are versatile and have properties in purifying outdoor and indoor air quality and getting rid of the range of biological and chemical pollutants. It's a modern technology and it's called the green technology. Here is examples, because about this matter of nano insulations, we have something for the protection and we have something else. It's regarding for the pollutants and how we can clean the air. Just here examples about the protection for different places, for the wood, for the iron, for the cars, for the furnitures, for the yacht, for any place. And now we apply these nano coatings on the solar panels here in Kuwait, and let's see.
Nawad, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you only have about 30 seconds left here.
Don't worry, I will finish in a few minutes, in a few seconds.
Thank you.
Here is the difference between these solar panels and how it became more efficiency and more productive. As we said, this is the final. If we have just 1 minute, I will explain about this video. This is the last one.
There's no question here.
Okay, now, as we can see that from the pollutants from inside and outside, here from the inside, air quality is very bad because we know there is no sunlight, there is a lot of microbes and germs inside, and the smell. From outside, we know from the pollutants, as we said before. And here is one of the materials, which is TiO2, titanium dioxide, and today it's became more sufficient with nanoparticles, silver nanoparticles, and it is very sufficient to eliminate the dirt and the bad smell for the that gases for the microorganisms such like fungus or bacteria. So applying these materials, as we have seen before on the solar panels, it will give more efficiency for the solar panels and also cleaning the air quality. And here is one of the measurements if we apply for the buildings and for anything, outside or inside.
Okay. Nawat, we're a couple minutes over. I'm not going to have time for the other papers, so I don't mean to cut you off, but.
Okay, thank you all, and we hope that we succeeded to explain our goal and targets to serve the environment and society with the greetings of the General Manager Nawaf Al-Shaya and from me, Executive Manager Nabil Al-Nassar. Thank you, Mr. Michael, and thank you for Dr. Hanadi.
Thank you, Nawaf. That's very interesting, and it's nice to see you're doing all these good things that are really going to help the environment and make energy more efficient. I'm wondering if all this big transfer from internal combustion engine cars to electric cars to reduce pollution, I'm wondering if some of your devices here might have an impact on some of that. Maybe we don't need to change so dramatically, and maybe your device is a better answer. So I think it's a wonderful thing that your company is doing, and I look forward to hearing more about it in the future.
Thank you
very much. Can you turn off your screen share?
Okay.
There you go. Okay, perfect. Is Christopher here? Christopher, I see you right there. So you are here. So thank you, Christopher. So you're next, and please try to keep the presentation in the 10-minute range, or I'm going to have to come in and talk again. So please proceed, Christopher.
Oh, yes, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Dr. Hanadi, for inviting us today. So my name is Chris. I am basically a software engineer. I have more than 12 years experience in working in the tech industry, and I have more than 10 years experience in computer vision and machine learning and the whole field of artificial intelligence. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Zaka, which is an AI education company with the mission of raising awareness and pushing artificial intelligence in the MENA region through education and consultancy. So I'd like to start my talk today by discussing the history of automation. And what you can see here on the slide is the first example of a fully automated machine that was invented in 1771 by Richard Arkwright, and it was driven by water power. And over the last century, humans have always invented machines and robots that can help us do our job easier and faster. So if you take the example of the agriculture industry, we used to rely on animals and human labor to cultivate the land. And then we replace those animals with machines and engines that can help us do the job easier. But the humans were still needed for that process because we were still needed to operate the machine. Another example is in the transportation industry, where we used to rely on horses to pull our carriages. And then we invented engines and cars, which replaced those horses, but humans were still needed to operate the cars. So every industrial revolution is characterized by a certain technology. In the first industrial revolution, we have the invention of the steam engine, and then we have the invention of the electricity in the second industrial revolution, leading up to the third industrial revolution, which is called the digital revolution, with the invention of the internet and the computers. And we're currently living in what we call the fourth industrial revolution, which builds on top of the digital revolution, and it's characterized by technologies such as big data and artificial intelligence. And the reality is that today, AI is taking over large parts of the business processes that were previously done manually. And with every addition to the AI toolbox, companies that fail to integrate AI in their businesses are falling behind in efficiency and in productivity, which means that AI is being applied to different industries and different sectors, and you don't have to be working in technology to benefit from artificial intelligence. And it also means that no industry is immune to automation. So if you go back to the agriculture example as an industry, today you have automated machines that can basically do everything with minimal human intervention. And the same example in the transportation industry, we also now have cars that can drive by themselves while we sit in the back seat. And so even the human element was removed from, from those examples. And as we can see today, AI is being applied to different industries, and it is revolutionizing every sector that it enters. And in the future, we will see AI taking over large jobs or tasks that are currently being done by humans. In fact, AI automation is helping companies become more productive by producing more with less resources. And according to Accenture, the impact of AI technologies on businesses will boost labor productivity by up to 40%. So this is great news for companies, but what about humans, and how is this change affecting us? From the first industrial revolution on, we have always been afraid that these technologies are replacing us and taking over our jobs. And the AI automation is no different. We've seen AI, or at least automation based on AI, taking over some jobs and leaving people unemployed. So according to McKinsey Global Institute, they estimate that by 2030, automation could take away up to 30% of the jobs that exist today, which is around 800 million jobs. So this fear is actually, it's a true feeling. But on the other hand, you can argue that just like any technology, while some jobs are being automated or completely replaced, there are always new jobs that are being created. And that's also the case. According to a study by Deloitte in the UK, over a period of 15 years, automation and robotics had killed off or has eliminated 800,000 jobs. But also during that same time, 3.5 million new jobs were created, and with even higher wages. So if we have more jobs that are being created than jobs that are being eliminated, then this should be good news, and we shouldn't have anything to worry about. But it's actually not that simple, because automation was once contained to low-skilled repetitive tasks, but with the advancement of technology and artificial intelligence, this is resulting in the automation of highly skilled cognitive tasks, which means that these new jobs that are being created require advanced skills for people to be able to work, which means that there's a huge importance for us to educate and upskill the current workforce so that they can learn or acquire the skills needed and move successfully into the jobs of the future, which puts a critical importance on investing in education and upskilling. And this is where Dhaka comes in. As I said earlier, Dhaka is an AI education company that's mainly focused on pushing artificial intelligence in the MENA region through education. We have different programs that allow participants to acquire market-ready skills in AI and help them find jobs in the field upon graduating from our programs. Before I tell you more about what our programs are, let me quickly take a step back and define what artificial intelligence is, because I think that most people have heard of AI, but no one actually understands what AI is actually about. So most people, when they think of the word artificial intelligence, they immediately think of robots and humanoid robots that are, taking over humans, or sometimes they're evil, or whatever is being shown in the movies or the media. But in reality, AI is not robotics. AI is mostly algorithms, right? These are algorithms that are smart, that can process data and can find patterns in the data and be able to make predictions. And in fact, AI is sometimes called software 2.0, because if you compare it to the traditional way of programming, in the traditional way, we have a programmer who takes the data and takes the program, which are the rules, and feeds that into the computer, and then the computer will give us the output. But in the software 2.0, or in the machine learning approach, we have the data and we have the output, but we do not have the rules. And so I feed the data and the output to the computer, and the algorithm will figure out what the rules are. And that's basically what AI is all about. And so when I'm talking about AI, I'm not just saying robotics, I'm mostly talking about algorithms. And it's important for us to align on those points. Now, what are the 4 steps for someone to get started with artificial intelligence? And I'm sorry if I'm going too fast, but I'm trying to finish the presentation on time. So I'll try to minimize very simple steps for someone to get into artificial intelligence. First of all, you need to have a background in programming, because AI is all about writing algorithms and defining, computer algorithms. And so you need to be able to write programming languages. It doesn't matter which language you use, but Python is the most familiar and most popular one because it has a huge community behind it. And so it's easy for you to get started using Python. The next step is you have to build a basic understanding of the fundamentals. You need to understand a bit of mathematics, probability, statistics, and linear algebra. And you also need to understand data structures and databases and different data formats. So basically some fundamentals that allow you to work with data, save the data, and then clean the data later on. The third step is, you can start to play around with the data. 80% of the time that a data scientist or machine learning engineer spends on is around data. So you will most likely be dealing with data. So you should be comfortable with scraping data from the internet, with cleaning the data, with figuring out how you can save and load the data and how you can present it or visualize it. So it's very important for you to figure out how you can explore the data that you have and visualize it with storytelling and dashboards. And only then, once you're very comfortable working with the data, once you're very comfortable working with the data, then you can move on to learning the foundations of machine learning. So we go into the different algorithms, the supervised or the unsupervised learning, statistical modeling, and moving on to deep learning and neural networks. And so I try to summarize from a high level what are the 4 different steps for anyone to get started. And now let's talk about you specifically, and anyone here in the audience today that is interested in shifting their career or working in AI. What can you do to learn these technologies? Well, the easiest thing you can do is just go online, and there's plenty of resources that you can find, whether it's online courses or blogs or YouTube channels or podcasts or whatever the format that you're most comfortable learning. You can find content that's most likely free that you can use and you can learn. The only problem with that approach is that it can get very confusing, because there's plenty of, it's a big field, first of all, and there's plenty of resources, and you don't know where to go after you've taken a certain course. What's the next step? So instead of going through different roads and different ways, ideally, you would need a shortcut, like a highway that can take you from 0 to hero in the least amount of time. And this is what we offer at Zaka. So one of our programs is called the Artificial Intelligence Certification Program. And it's a 16 weeks intensive training done online, remotely, that allows you to graduate with market-ready skills. The program has 3 different career tracks. You can either graduate as a machine learning engineer, as a data scientist, or as a data engineer. You join the program, you pick a track, you take the content, and then you graduate after 16 weeks. And upon graduating, we also connect you with companies in the region, in the MENA region, to help facilitate the job placement. That's it. In addition to the education side, we're also building a community in the region. So if you're interested in being part of that community, I would encourage you to visit our website, log in, it's a free account, and you can be part of a community of AI practitioners in the MENA region. I hope I didn't go over time. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect, Chris. I think you did a great job. It's marvelous to see what your company's doing. A lot of my students, when I start to talk about robotics and artificial intelligence, the first thing they say is it's going to take away jobs. What are we going to do? There won't be jobs. I'm glad you pointed out that by making people more productive, which is what all of this does, make workers more productive, it actually ends up creating more jobs rather than losing jobs. So excellent point. Your company is doing some wonderful things, and please continue doing that. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to turn this over to Agnes. Is that how that's pronounced?
Yes, that's the English version of that.
What's your version of it? How would I pronounce that?
The original one is Agnes.
Agnes. Okay.
Yes,
Agnes.
so it's more instead of a. Anyways, in France, it's Agnès, for example.
Oh, Agnès. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Agnès, try to do this in 10 minutes, and everything will be good.
Sounds perfect to me. So, and I think it was very nice to have an introduction about the ways that we're referring to the performance, and also to the essential component of the human nature into the progression, into this evolutionary steps and these big leaps. Here today, this next 10 minutes will be about hyper performance and that kind of combination with a human artificial intelligence. Number one, we have to look at the humans first, as always, as it was mentioned by the previous speaker. Humans, when they look something like this, and that's a nice kind of reflection of ourselves, how we make judgments and decisions. I saw a book called How to Solve 50% of Your Problems. So I bought 2. And And I would say these are the wrong shortcuts. Shortcuts are great. They always helped us to evolve, to optimize for energy, but sometimes we apply the wrong shortcuts to the wrong situations. And when we look for the future where AI comes in to help us to make better decisions, it's still questionable, especially if we look at this model, and it's proposed by the Harvard Business Review. Decision-making model combines the power of AI and human judgment. We see the AI stuff in this box with the machines, big data, AI, and possible actions, but you see the arrow coming out and it hits human judgment. But we already saw that human judgment actually would benefit from the help of AI rather than just being informative for human decision-making. So this is a publication we published, the article we published this August this year. So really clarifying why people know what to do, but they don't do it. And in most of the organizations, what happens if let's say a leadership team or the manager says, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And if they don't comply, then carrots and sticks are deployed, the rewards and punishments. But what we found out scientifically, there is much more sustainable way to help people to get from what they know to actually implement and do it. And that goes through the acceptance, so they find it relevant and meaningful and useful. And then it needs also some time and intention to put it into their daily routines. And if AI or any technology can help people to move from knowledge through the accepting it, finding it relevant, then to intention, and then the behavior will be much more long-lasting. So here we arrive to explanation of what I mean by hyper-performance. Typically, when organizations want their employees to be more productive, they do something like this. Send them to an inspirational talk, and then everybody is inspired for 2 days, but then they come back to the routines and it all kind of falls down and comes back to approximately the same performance level as what before. Okay, we can do something different. Maybe it's not that high inspiration, but it's a training where the people for 1 or 2 days learn more skills. But the trouble is, it also sometimes arrives back to the previous performance because they learn new skills, but they are not intending to use them. Everyone wants this. Everyone wants that, okay, over time, our performance just steadily goes up. And the question is, what is on this vector? Straightforward. It's how we help people to apply their knowledge. So it's integrating knowledge and the behavior. So that's the answer, is not adding more skills and training, it's removing the negative mindset, prejudice, bias, counterproductive thinking. And that's still part of the human. We do our best to eliminate that from the algorithms, but still we as a humans, human nature has that, let's say, detriment. Here is an example. So I even have these cubes over here, and I'm sure that most of the people would think, well, that's complicated. Okay, let's put that aside. Let's take a very practical question. The smallest cube has 6 sides, the largest cube has 12 sides, and there's an algorithm to solve it. Then if you learn the algorithm for the small cube, what would be the typical assessment or the guess for the people? How much more complicated is the algorithm for the large cube? And people would say, well, it has twice as much sides, so the algorithm should be twice more complicated. No, it will take maybe twice as much time to get it sorted because it has twice as much elements or more, but the algorithm is just 5% more complicated. And that kind of a thing is really holding people back from taking action and taking the optimal decisions. So for example, here, if the thought is cube is useless, so people will never start doing anything with that. So if we want to replace these thoughts and help people to replace them, one recipe and very important part of the recipe is that thought has to be complete opposite. If it's not complete opposite, those two thoughts, the old one, the new one, can coexist and they fight for the same energy. And at the point of the difficult decision, people will give up the new one and the old one will prevail. So that's a recipe if you really want to master how the shifting the mindset, and we can train AI to do that. And why? Because the neural networks in the human brain are very straightforward. They are following our habits. It's called neuroplasticity. If we do a certain thing for a period of time, that gets automated. And the same way, we can also train the AI to help rewire the human neural network. At the same time, our senses are not always perfect. Like this one, I took a picture here in Paris, and it looks like these 2 Eiffel Towers are kind of tilting away, right? Instinctively. But no, it's the same image. So it tells us, even if we rely on our senses being perfect, they are not. And we have to know that before we tell AI something to do with us. Here, the 2 background colors, the color of the background color of square A and a B. And you can look to the left and look to the right. And if you look to the left, it looks like these 2 background colors are different. But when you look to the right, no, they are the same. So those are the evidence which I call welcoming people to the brain gym. So kind of train, consolidate the instinctive and intelligent part. When we come back to the societies and organizations, these carrots and sticks are typically used to induce a human change. And the problem with them is they are limited. Of course, they are useful to achieve certain degree of change, but they are limited by the effect in terms of sustaining that change. From that perspective, this is typology. So you can get a transactional change, transitional change, or if you really want a long-term, and that applies to the organizations and societies too, instead of using limiting motivators like carrots and sticks, social influence. Social influence is something we are wired this way. We look at the other people, we learn, we compare, we compete, we collaborate, we enjoy recognition and all those sort of things. Putting that into the design framework for technology, this is a collection of 8 tools. First 4 tools to investigate the problem, and then 5, 6 is to design the technology for the change, and then 7, 8 to make sure it's not going to backfire. When we deploy systems based on this, fundamentally using social influence principles, that's another publication 3 years ago that we published, showing the power of social influence comparing to the old-fashioned motivators, carrots and sticks. Example that we did, it's a typical organizational and also maybe societal challenge. People arrive late. In this case, people arrive late to the meetings. And we would like to have better performance of the meetings if everyone arrives on time. What did we do? We did an implementation, and then that implementation brought from 65% of the people on time to 100% people on time within 5 meetings. What did we do? We just plug in computer. Of course, it can be replaced with AI very quickly, but the basic idea is social influence being part of the design. So you can see every person has a bar, and for every meeting, if they are on time, they get the color. If they're late, they don't get the color. And therefore, you can quickly compare, okay, how do I perform with the others? It gets transparency and also triggers you to kind of reconsider your choice, whether you arrive late or on time. I will finish up. This is one of the last slides. It's a video where we really intertwine the human artificial intelligence to shift the societal behavior.
Hi, I'm Michael. My mission is to free the planet from litter and plastic pollution. Before there were humans on Earth, there was no litter, so it's actually a man-made behavior problem. The literary solved this by turning litter into lottery tickets. If you happen to have an unscratched lottery ticket in your hand, like this, and you happen to drop it, what would you do?
Pick it up.
Of course. The bin recognizes you using Bluetooth to detect your phone. The built-in camera uses AI-powered computer vision to detect if you have sorted correctly. If you did, your ticket will arrive in seconds. What happens if you sort incorrect? The AI-powered computer vision checks if you sorted correctly. If you didn't sort correct, you will receive a nudge. The literary, smart, solar-powered, contained, sensor-equipped litter bins and recycling stations communicate their real-time status to streamline waste operations. The literary's concept is scientifically supported. When litter hits the bins, everybody wins.
So that's the story. If you want to learn more, there is a website with all the scientific publications, and that's the website. It's mynamesurname.com, and there's a YouTube channel where I explain all of this stuff in more details for everyone who is more interested. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Agni. I got to pronounce a little better that time. Extremely fascinating, interesting to see some of the things that you're doing. Certainly this area is growing, and providing the kind of information that you do to people, I think is marvelous. So please keep up the good work.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. I think the next 2 papers are with the same person. I'm going to have a little trouble pronouncing this.
Usema.
Usema. That's what I was close to what I was going to say. Usema. Thank you very much. Do you have 2 papers to present?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got about 23 minutes. If you take 10 minutes on each paper and a couple minutes to chat, we'll be in real good shape. So fire when ready.
I'll try to be so quick. So, yeah. So thank you so much first for this amazing conference. I'm really, really glad being with you today. So in this session, I'm going to talk about the metaverse and artificial intelligence in this sector. But first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. So my name is Osama Qsantini. I've been investing in immersive technologies and research and development since the last 5 years. I first start with a new startup called Alien Dimension, and then we started spinning off a lot of different solutions like Movement and the Imaginator that I'm going to talk about in the next slides. So about the metaverse. So the metaverse is a digital world that we can access via XR platform. I believe that most of you have heard of this word, the metaverse, lately. Of course, after, for example, from Facebook or from Apple or from Amazon, that they are switching to this word. But this technology of the metaverse, or this term, have been invented since the 20th century, and it's about a world where it's not like we're going to be born in and we find out, but it's a world that we are going to collaborate to create together. And this vision was started, as I told you, in the 20th century, and we have as a human being, we try to push our technologies and our knowledge so we can get to this vision. And now, most recently, now we have a very performant hardware like smartphones, iPhones, computers, headsets, and things like that, that allows us at this moment, at this very, very moment, to build this metaverse together. So what we do exactly here in Movement, we help companies and organizations, can be even universities and school, to integrate their visions also into this metaverse. Because now extended reality and augmented reality, they can give us new possibilities on how we can improve our quality of services, our quality of education, our quality of customer relation, the way we can have meetings, the way even we can have this conference at very moment. So what we do at Movement, we get to this organization, we try to analyze what are their visions, what are their needs, what are they are doing actually, and we propose for them new concepts that they can integrate within their organizations. And some examples like we can talk about a few later. For example, as you can see here, in the very in the upper, we have built for an African company here a solution that allows them to share their furniture using augmented reality, so their users can try on their furniture as they are in the showroom, but they can try it in real time in their houses. There is already a solution similar to that, which was the first of a kind, have been built with IKEA, and this company has get this as an inspiration from, and they asked us if we can do something similar or even better from that. In the second picture, as you can see, we are building for schools virtual laboratories where educators can come in and can do the different manipulation as they are in the laboratory, but they can do it at home with a very, very, very safe environment and an extreme good possibilities. So this is about Movement, and now I'm going to talk about the very first spin-off and why we have did that. So now I'm going to talk about Alien Dimension. So as you know, technology is set to revolutionize all different sectors without exception. But has this revolution really transformed the educational sector? No. And this observation was made based on our experience. We have really digged in this sector, and we have find out that that the technology is improving a lot of sectors, and in the other hand, a lot of schools around the world, not only in the African countries or in the Latin or wherever, but in every country around the world, there's a lot of schools are still practicing the same educational methods. So that's why we come up with a new era of learning, which is Alien Dimension. Alien Dimension is an augmented reality mobile app that provides educational institutions with extended reality simulation in sciences to help them improve their training journey with more efficient methods. Like we have built laboratories in for childbirthing for medicine students, space exploration for architect students, mechanics, human anatomy, chemistry, and biology for DNA. Many have been contributing in this mission already, like in reality mobile app and Foxar. But Alien Dimension has raised the competition to the next level by using the artificial intelligence technology to help them improve their training journey and to detect each profile of the user and adapt them to their profile. We are using the taxonomy, the Bloom of taxonomy, which is an already used technology in the gaming. What we do exactly is we give the user some tasks that they can do, and based on their answers, we can identify their personality and their characteristics. Like if it has a good points in concentration and bad points in reading, or he has a good points in reading but low points in retention. So we take all these characteristics and we adapt for them a laboratory that match their competence. So this is a laboratory that is very adaptive depending on their student, not a standard non-changeable laboratories like the classical ones. We have challenged all fashion and market resistance. But first, when we started digging into this sector of education, a lot of institutions and a lot of intervenants have started to prevent this kind of technology to go in, and this is very normal about every new idea or every new changement. So we kept digging and we kept fighting so we can convince a lot of institutions to start using the augmented reality. And now we have succeeded to get more than 5,000 users already for each of our laboratories. So we have thousands and thousands of users in our apps, and we are already partnering with multiple universities. For example, like Honoris, which is a group of universities that has 45 universities around Africa. And now we are building for them this kind of virtual laboratory for their students. So now I'm going to share with you a video about Alien Dimension. Please let me know if you cannot hear the voice of the video. Okay, let me check. Thank you for this. I will get back to this next. So now with the final slides, it's about the Imaginator. So we gained a lot of experiences doing this educational environments for schools, doing a lot of solutions for companies in furniture and mechanics, in a lot of other areas. But during this journey, we find out that a lot of companies wanted to create their own experiences in-house. But unfortunately, they don't have the competences to do that, because this kind of technology, the metaverse, including XR, augmented reality, and virtual reality, it's a technology restricted to developers. And there is a very specific type of technologies that you need to integrate within your company, so you'll be able to develop this kind of solutions. And whether you have to make a lot of investment to recruit a huge team to develop for you this kind of technology, or you're going to call for example, Alien Dimension or Imaginator or other companies to build for you this kind of technology. So we took all this problem and we figured out about a solution. The solution is a web platform that may give the ability to everyone, to every company, to every organization, to create their own XR experiences with zero coding. It's a very intuitive platform that give you the ability to put every component that you want. It's like using the Photoshop or Paint or Office. You just can put your components, you put your 3D models, you put some text, videos, everything you want to show for your students or for your clients or for your employees if you want. And you do that in a very intuitive environment in our XR studio. And in the other hand, you will find the lender. The lender is a place where you can share these experiences. It's like YouTube, or it's like Behance or Pinterest, where a huge community can share their experiences, whether you are a university, whether you are an architect, whether you are an educator or an inventor. You can create an XR experiences about your services or your content, and you can share them in the lender, where everyone with the restrictions that you can mention can see and can visualize and can interact with these experiences that you have built with zero coding. So this is a glance about the XR Studio. So as you can see, we try to make it as easy as possible with UI and UX, so you get a lot of familiar icons and the very familiar buttons, so you don't get lost in the development. And in the other hand, after you put all the components, as I told you, the text, the videos, and 3D models, you can activate some features like add hand tracking, so the user can use their hands to manipulate the subject. You can put face tracking, you can put the geo-based localization, multi-users. You can export them into the lender using augmented reality or virtual reality or extended reality, and you just click on Imaginate now, and it's all will be built online. So this is a glance about the lender. So as you can see here, we have some the experiences that people are sharing. As you can see, we always try to make our platforms or our interfaces very similar to things that people are already using. So you have your friends at the right, and you have the main dash where all the experiences are similar to Facebook posts, but they are XR experiences. So now I'm going to share with you a screen built with the Imaginator and being built by Suzuki. So this is the experience. So as you can see here, Suzuki have used the Imaginator to develop an XR app that give the ability to everyone who is seeking to buy a Suzuki to get this car into their house rather than going to the showroom. And you can change the color, you can open the doors, see it from the different angles, get into it. You can see the dashboard, you can see all the components. If you click here or there, everything you will find out very, very similar to to the real world. And with Maginator, we allowed Suzuki to create their own experiences in-house without recruiting any developers. Just few designs, put their model, put their texts, put their features that they want, and boom, you will find out that you have the first XR experiences without zero coding, without even any knowledge about this kind of technology. And I think this will be amazing, and I think this is the opportunity now for everyone to take rid of the limitation for everyone who is enthusiast and who is wondering about this metaverse and how he can develop his own solution. Now everyone can use this kind of platforms, our Maginator, and share their experiences with the world. So the future is now. Again, I am Oussama Qsontini from Tunisia, and thank you very, very much for your attention.
Excellent. So that was both your talks kind of wrapped up into one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Excellent. It was done extremely well. You know, I find as I listen to these presentations, how much is being done in this area. The two things came to mind, Oussama, when I was listening here. You know, the average person in the public, I think, is a little bit intimidated by all this technology and the talk of virtual reality and those things. So there might have to be some kind of an education to help the average person to try to understand these things. I even think a lot of companies don't realize how much of a benefit a lot of these tools can be to them. I guess that'll just take a little bit of time. What I found most fascinating and encouraging is that users can make fundamental changes without having to do any coding. That I think is marvelous, because the way most people perceive this, I think, is, well, I've got the program, the applications here. If there's something I want to do, I've got to go in and change things. I don't know how to do that. You know, even the word coding intimidates me. So I don't know how to do that. Now you're coming along and saying, hey, look, you don't have to do any of that coding. This is very user friendly. And with just some changes that you're used to making and other things, you can modify these programs apparently significantly. I like what Suzuki is doing there. You know, rather than have to go into a showroom and, well, I'm looking for this size SUV. I've got 4 or 5 choices, I think. It's going to take me forever to go into each one of those showrooms. Now you're saying, you know, 15, 20 minutes on your computer, you can see all 5 of the cars and help make your decision. So I think what you're doing here, Oussama, is some marvelous things. I can see this having a very significant impact in the future.
Thank you so much. And as you know, this spin-off was just like the problem that you have mentioned. When we started developing for companies and for educational institutions, like every day, like professors and partners are calling me, please, Oussama, can you change this for me? Can you build this for me? Can you do this for me? And really, at some stage, we couldn't handle all the demands that from our partners, and all of them mostly have an urgent changes. So this is all the idea came from, like, we met with all the developers and all the team of Alien Dimension, and we said, come on, let's see what can we do for them. How can we be even more close to them? How can we give them the ability to make these changes? Because sometimes it's very different to have a discussion between 2 engineers rather than, for example, have a discussion between an engineer and a professor or a doctor or an architect, because sometimes we get a conversation together and we don't understand each other, or maybe sometimes I cannot understand them with the right way. So when I made the changes, sometimes, oh, I didn't mean that. I wanted to showcase this, or to show this, or to do that, or give the ability to my students to see this part of the human body, or this part of the of the car. So what we have done, let's give them the ability to make their own changes by their own using this platform. And I'm very, very glad now that we are already at the stage. We have registered our platform and our solution internationally, and now we are getting, besides the previous partners and clients, now we are having a lot of new partners that they are using this platform.
So everything that you've shown us here today is available now. I mean, this isn't something we're going to develop in the future. This is something that's available now.
Exactly, yeah. The Imaginator at this moment is private to our partners, and we give access to everyone who's just contacted us and they just want to build. But in maybe by the start of 2023, it will be fully public to everyone who want to use it.
You know, I take a look at what you presented here, and it looks very futuristic. I wonder if you've thought about what might be the next steps after these things become implemented.
The next steps is we will get an immersive XR studio. At this moment, the XR studio is computer based. So you open your computer and you put your 3D models, as I told you, and the text and the videos. But as you know, there is a curve about a learning curve about the metaverse at the moment. You know that Facebook, Apple, and everyone is investing here, and you will see in the next few years, everyone will start buying XR headsets. You know, I know that most of you don't have XR headset at your houses like Oculus and others, but believe me, next year or the year after, you will have one like you just bought a smartphone years ago. You will be forced, not forced, but you would love to buy a headset. And at this very moment, we will have an immersive platform. So you will put the headset and you will be immersed into a 360 studio where you can design your own experiences, just like you're building a house. You know, you're going here and you're going there, you're putting this here, you put in text there, you put a television here to show a video, you put a robot or mechanic things or something like that, and you share it with this kind of technologies. So this is one of the major next steps that we are working on at this very moment.
Well, that sounds very exciting, Oussama. I can't wait till all this finally comes out. Would you be kind enough to stop sharing your screen for a minute?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. So that's the end of this session. So we're ready for the next session. Best practices for entrepreneurial ecosystems will continue here. So I'm going to turn this over to my very learned colleague, Dr. Jennifer Barr. You're muted, Jen. You're muted.
Mike, be with us, please. Don't leaving the room.
Don't leave yet?
No, she's there. Just I need you to be there.
Okay,
I'm so sorry. Mike, did you get on this morning and there were 1 million updates to the computer?
No.
That's why I was a little late, because my computer was updating for quite a while.
Okay,
they did something and I'm good. I'm here.
So now you're fully updated and ready to go.
Ready to go. Thanks. And Hanadi, thanks for your patience. Hi, everyone. Good morning.